Welcome over to Automotive World, everyone. I am your host, Vinny Mystery, and we are back with our final story tonight. And it is from Fisker. And when it's a Fisker story, unfortunately, in the modern day, it's not good. And this is a continuation on it. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive, and we're going to go in on this. We have a great article here from Motor One from Christopher Smith, and we're going to go in on this. Fisker has been in a lot of trouble recently. EVs in general, for most automakers. Obviously, Tesla is super prominent right now. But EVs from many automakers have been in just trouble. You know, they've just been declining in sales. Fisker's got a little bit more than that. Fisker not only has, the decline in sales, but Fisker just as a company as a whole is just a mess from the top down, from the leadership to production to just pricing of the vehicles. $80,000 vehicles becoming $30,000, $40,000 vehicles that don't even exist. We've seen many videos from people all over YouTube and even well-known, celebrities and YouTubers trying to order one, and they weren't able to receive it. And just from the top down, from the dealers just not giving accurate information to, corporate not giving dealers accurate information and just being in limbo with different communication, people being promised their car is going to be there in a certain week and it's not. Everything, even from just, support, Fisker has been a mess. And as of right now, at the Fisker factory, we have, here that they're assuming that no further production will take place. We already know that Fisker has been in deep trouble. They've been looking for a buyout. We talked, recently there was some news maybe Nissan or Mitsubishi might wanted to come in and scoop them up. But Fisker just as a whole, just, from their earnings call last week, just being just completely down. There was zero profit. Although there's no official announcement that, they're completely shutting down production, from what we can see from, just people trying to buy one, and just leadership from the top down, and just how even, dealers, from people who are trying to buy one, just are not being given the correct information from those up at the corporate offices, and just, how people are going back and forth in limbo, and there's really no true support. There's such a mess. It takes, we've seen people take, weeks to get emails. Some people aren't even getting phone calls, or, the whole company is just a mess. And, Fisker has been one of those brands, they've always been, they've made cool cars, but they've never really been sustainable or profitable. A lot of people still remember Fisker from, you could call their supercar from the Fisker Karma. A lot of enthusiasts still remember Fisker like that, but most people, and even a lot of enthusiasts, don't even know, what Fisker is. And, Fisker tried to come out with, the Ocean, which is one of their big models right now. It was a very expensive premium model when it came out, and then they dropped it down in price, which for those who bought it, if you may have bought a Tesla, you may have been in the same situation. The way, vehicle prices and vehicle value for electric cars fluctuate based off the manufacturer. It can be one day you buy an $80,000 car, and the next day somebody else goes and buys the same car brand new, and it might be half the price. And so obviously a lot of consumers were angry at that, because they paid for a car that wasn't worth it, both in a performance and value usability wise, and also because the next day the company just slashed the prices, which kills so much equity for current owners, and current owners who are having issues, or wanting to get rid of the vehicle, or even those who are trying to become potential owners. Just like I said, from the top down, there's a countless amount of videos of people just trying to buy this vehicle, and dealers giving out information and then corporate not following up with it, or giving the wrong information, or you're given information and then you do the proper channels, you email and all that, they don't respond to you, and then next week you get an email and it's like, oh, they can't find your inquiry. And it's just from the top, just everything from corporate to the dealers to the communication, everything here is just it's going wrong for Fisker. And obviously they did do a 6-week pause on production for the Ocean. That time frame has been relatively loose. It was, idled back in early March. It is not a definitive thing that they've said, hey, we're going to, completely stop production. But the way production numbers are and the way that, you're really not even able to buy this vehicle. Fisker is in a whole just ish. I mean, to say that they're in a pickle, in a dilemma, is not good at all. And we have a statement here from the CEO. In their statement here, it is important that, I provide an update on the current status for Fisker for the Ocean program. Production of the vehicle is currently idle. Current outlook issue state assumes no further production, consistent with disclosure as they provided in the annual information form, which reduces our 2024 sales by about $400 million and impacts the adjusted EBIT margin by about a 25-point basis. So from the CEO, from the top, from the leadership, production is idling. It's been idling. It's been stopped, and they still do not have a current outlook on when they think they can restart and further that production. And they talk about it here. I mean, that adjusted for the loss of sales of $400 million, which is in addition to what they've already lost before production was halted. And like I said, this is a company that isn't surviving. This is a company that's not making it. I mean, when you have, from your leadership, from the CEO, regarding your quarter one earnings, when you're down 25-point basis, when you're down, $400 million on top of what you were already down, when you're saying to your shareholders and just potential buyers that, hey, we have had production idled, it's not going on, and unfortunately we just don't know, looking into the future from now, if and when we can, restart that production. That's just, there's the confidence, it's just not there. And that just shows, like I said, with the leadership, this company is just a mess. Nothing is working fluently, nobody is working together, and ultimately, it was set up for failure. And we have, down here, talks of partnering with others, the company already before this having cash flow problems, just to survive into the end of this year. And, as we talked about here, Fisker has been in talks with other automakers to potentially partner up or even buy out, but from then, I mean, it just hasn't materialized into anything, and the stock has continued to drop. And then, we have down here Fisker's death watch continues, and honestly, the death watch technically continues because they're technically still around, but Fisker is, if you ask me, they're dead. Everything that I've seen, just watching so many other videos and just contacting and listening to people trying, who have been struggling, who have this vehicle, or those even trying to become a potential buyer to buy one, and then just looking at this now, quarter one earnings coming out, they were already struggling with cash flow. They're gonna lose another $400 million. And then when you have your leadership coming out and saying, we don't have, with our current outlook, we can't assume when further production may continue. This is one of those things where it's, we're saying the death watch continues. I think the death has already happened. I think we're just kind of watching the remains. I think, it's kind of like when a celebrity dies and you have really big fans and of that celebrity, and they can't necessarily grasp it in that time. I think that's kind of what we're watching, because, like I said, from the top down, nobody has any solutions, and really there is no way to fix this problem. They can't make vehicles. They have no cash flow. They're already now down $400 million. With no cash flow, you don't have the cash to make vehicles. You don't have the money to buy material and, you know, pay for the labor and things like that. So this is, you know, unless another automaker, you know, whether it's Nissan or whoever, was to come in and swoop in and purchase a very large amount of shares and ownership and stock, or completely just buy out this company, which at this time would not be a smart move, because every other automaker right now has their own EV offerings. If not, they're coming out with them, and they're honestly, they have the resources and the tech, and they're probably more advanced than the Fisker. Even though I like the way the Fisker looks, I think it's a cool car. It just wouldn't make sense for one of these other companies to buy this company right now, especially from a business perspective. As this company is going to lose more money, it would make sense to wait for it more until it becomes nothing and then rebuild it. And whether they take the technology and whatnot, it would be up to them. But, you know, we talk about, you know, Fisker here. I mean, if we go, you know, I think the other thing as well, you know, just being Fisker, you know, the dealer network, you know, only really being in California. You know, I mean, if we come here to shop inventory, let's put in the U.S. Why not? Let's put in Florida. I'll put in an old zip code, so I'm not worried about it, because I don't live there. So we have one in stock here at Fisker Jacksonville, and this was a $63,000 vehicle essentially, and they're selling it for about $40,000. However, you know, we've seen the videos with Fisker and how that, you know, these vehicles aren't actually necessarily, you know, in stock in the way that, you know, they have to go from where they are being held into the dealer. You know, I mean, we've got some here, but I mean, you know, we're saying it's in stock, but I mean, I can't even get any real pictures or anything. If we were to go to contact the dealer, you know, that's not a promising sign. Like, you know, with a normal car, you can go on the dealer's website and you can see pictures when they post the car, and it's actually there on the lot. You know, and just what we've seen with other people trying to buy one of these cars, you know, how do I know? I mean, you know, I'm a big, you know, tech guy. One of the videos, which I think you guys should really check out, Austin Evans, he put out a great video on this. He was trying to buy this car, and the poor guy, I mean, he was given the runaround, and it wasn't even necessarily the people who were contacting him, wasn't even their fault, because they were getting the runaround and they weren't getting the correct information. And he ultimately gave up. And I don't blame him. He waited about a month, probably even more, I think, in this video, and he never got the car, and he ultimately gave up, and they lost a customer because that car didn't actually, you know, exist. And the one that they said so-called existed, that, you know, had his name on it, he was never able to receive it. They just could never get it. And so, you know, you look at this and it's like, obviously these are renders. You know, if I contact the dealer, I want to see pictures of it. How do I even know? I mean, and then this is very common. We've seen so many people, not just him, but so many people experience the same problem. How do I even know that these cars exist? How do I even know they exist? I mean, where's the pictures of them? I mean, it's, you know, this is not really, there's not a lot of confidence in this website. I mean, if you go to the regular Ocean, you know, if we go to the pair, I mean, you know, here they talk about, you know, with a loss of 400 million, you know, here we're talking about an affordable, you know, agile vehicle. I mean, sign up today. I mean, we have no, you know, starting price would be $29,900 before any incentives. They can't even make the Ocean, and these Oceans that they so-called have in stock are $34,000. So if they have no cash flow, how are they going to make something with a starting price like that? We have no other details, nothing. I mean, we go to the Alaska, which is their EV pickup truck. They're saying it's going to start at $45,000 before any incentives. I mean, you know, there's absolutely just no information. And, you know, a big thing, like I said, is their dealer network. They don't have a large dealer network. You know, one thing Tesla did was they not only built out their infrastructure, they built out a dealer network. And, you know, you look here, Fisker Jacksonville, Fisker Miami, you know, Fisker centers in New York, you know, and that's their U.S. locations. These are the U.S. locations. There's 3 here, there's 3 here, there's 3 here. Dealer partners. So there's 9 dealers. 9 dealers within the United States. And most of them are in about, it looks like 4 states, being New York, California, Florida, Indianapolis, and we got Georgia and South Carolina on the board too. But we have 3, 6, 9. We have 9 locations, 9 dealers in the United States, and then it goes to the EU locations. That's not a lot of confidence either. A lot of people don't live in those states. You know, they want to go and see the car in person. They want to test drive it. They want to talk to a human. If they want to go in and ask a dealer a question about where is their car, they can't do that. And so their dealer network is just not even large enough. And obviously with no cash flow and no production on vehicles, they're not selling any vehicles. So they don't have the cash flow, nor do they have the demands or the means or even just the urgency to build dealers out. And so this is just, you know, from the top down, this is just a mess. And this is one of those things, it's kind of like, you know, it's almost like it was doomed. It was like dead on arrival. And this sucks. I don't want to have to say that about them. But I mean, you look, it's like they have more locations in Germany and France and in the EU than they do have in the United States. And so this is a mess from the top down. And I mean, this is a mess from the top down. And we talk about it here, adding dealers here in LA, you know. This is a mess. And you know, I just wanted to make this video just kind of going on this little deep dive, but really just talk about this. It's because there's a lot of people in this situation looking for, you know, affordable EVs and just an affordable car, looking at this particular car. And, you know, like I said in the recent video I just did, you know, Kia went up in their EVs, but we're seeing just a lot of trouble with EVs across the board from all manufacturers. The demand not being there, people not buying them, dealers losing money on them, just reliability concerns, pricing concerns, you know, even the big news I mentioned with Tesla, you know, just with the supercharging network, them going down, them not seeing the growth they expected, not having those sales and that cash flow. We're just seeing this really across the industry, and it sucks because you have a competitor like this who's trying to bring something new and really nice looking and cool to the market at a great price, at a price point that we need those EVs at. And, you know, just to see this kind of mismanagement and organization just through the company, I mean, it's dead on arrival. And so it sucks to make these videos and have to say those kind of things, but unfortunately we have seen Fisker come and go before. This is not the first time Fisker has done bankruptcy and disappeared from us and had these kind of troubles. And unfortunately, like I said, I don't want to be negative. I hope the best for Fisker, whether they are able to figure it out on their own, or, you know, somebody else comes in and takes over and is able to figure it out and or incorporate it into the Fisker brand or their own brand, whether it's Nissan or whoever. But I think just like we've seen in history and just like we have seen with Fisker, they come and they go, and it looks like Fisker is on the way out. In fact, it doesn't look like they're on the way out. It looks like they're already out. But I don't know, after this endeavor, will we see Fisker again, in what capacity will it be? So this was really just a video just to have a conversation and just talk about the state of Fisker. Like I said, this doesn't help with the current state of EVs worldwide, but especially here in America. But, you know, Fisker is just, they have a whole other world of problems. So if you are looking at a Fisker Ocean, or you potentially looked at one or had an experience, or you owned one and got rid of it, if you do see this video, if you like the video, first of all, a like, subscribe means a lot. I would love to know your opinions though. Please leave a comment down below. My Twitter is on here. Feel free to even contact me on Twitter. I would love to know your experience on just what you may have went through with the vehicle, or if you owned it and, you know, the equity went down due to them, you know, lowering the price. Just what was your experience with that? I would absolutely love to know. But we're looking at Fisker. They're already out, but I think this time it might be forever. So that's going to conclude our video, everyone. Thanks for joining our little deep dive, our little conversation on just the state of Fisker, and it's not looking good for them. But thanks for watching, everyone.